7, we are working with rational expressions and equations, which means fractions. Today, 7.1a, we are reducing, multiplying, and dividing them. Okay. So this is actually going to have a lot to do with factoring, cross-canceling, canceling numerators and denominators, multiplying fractions, and dividing fractions. So that is kind of what we are working with for this one. So the first thing we're going to do is reduce the rational expressions. So to reduce, step 1, we factor both the numerator and the denominator. So we factor everything all the way. And then step 2, we simplify by canceling things that whatever cancels out. And remember, if something is in the numerator and it's in the denominator, that's when it cancels. Example 1, we want to reduce x squared minus 2x minus 3 all over x squared minus x minus 6. So in order to reduce this one, the first thing that we want to do is we want to factor the numerator and the denominator. That's our first step. So let's look at the numerator for right now. What method am I going to use to factor that one? Of all of our factoring methods, the numerator, how does that one factor? Which method do we use? Diamond method. So we're looking for the two numbers that multiply to -3 and add up to -2. Does anybody know what those are? -3, +1. So this numerator factors to x minus 3 times x plus 1 all over. What about the denominator? What method will we use there? Same method. So we're also going to look for the diamond. Two numbers that multiply to -6 and add up to -1. -3, +2. Okay, so that would be x minus 3 times x plus 2. Okay, so we factored everything. Now we want to cancel anything that cancels out. Do you guys see anything that cancels? The x minus 3 and the x minus 3. Now remember, we can only cancel the entire thing or nothing at all. So what would my answer be? What's left over? X plus 1 over x plus 2. Can I cancel those x's? No, why not? Because it's part of the addition, right? So this is my answer, x plus 1 over x plus 2. And that's it. Okay? Questions on that one? Pretty easy? Okay, example 2. 2x squared plus 10x over 3x squared plus 16x plus 5. Oh, there we go. Okay. So I want to do the same thing here. I want to factor the numerator and the denominator. In this numerator, 2x squared plus 10x. What method will I use for that? GCF. What's the GCF in there? 2x. So if I factor out a 2x, I'm left over with x plus 5. Good. All over. What method will I use here? Bottoms up. What's the first thing I should always look for before using bottoms up? A GCF. If there is a GCF and you try using bottoms up, it will not work. So do make sure that you double check, but we don't have a GCF in here. So I'm going to factor using bottoms up on just off to the side as scratch work. 3x squared plus 16x plus 5. Okay, and then what are my steps to bottoms up? Multiply 3 times 5. So I get x squared plus 16x plus 15. And then what? Then I can use diamond. Okay, so what two things multiply to 15 and add up to 16? 1 and 15. Or we'll do 15 and 1. Okay, I'm done, right? No, what do I have to do? Very good. We divide by 3, and remember the reason we divide by 3 is because we multiplied by 3 in the beginning. So now we have to undo that. Okay, 15 divided by 3, that reduces to 5. 1 over 3, does that reduce? Nope. So we bring the 3 up, and how does this guy factor then? X plus 5 times 3x plus 1. So the denominator is x plus 5 times 3x plus 1. Okay, now what? The x plus 5's cancel. So I'm left with, in the numerator, 2x over 3x plus 1. And that's my answer. I can't reduce anymore. Example 3. X minus 4 over x to the third minus 64. Question. Can I factor that numerator? X minus 4, does that factor at all? No, so we just leave it, x minus 4. What about this one, the denominator? What method is it? They're cubes. So x cubed is the same as x to the third. 64 is the same as what? 4 to the third. So I'm just writing it underneath to remind myself. And then I just apply the rule. So I have 2 parentheses. How do I find the signs? Same, opposite, always positive. Okay, what goes in the first set? X minus 4, good. The first blank? X squared. We multiply 4 times x to get 4x. And then 4 squared, which gives me 16. Okay, so what? Yes?
Can you write the, where's what you're writing on
the rule?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if we have a cubed minus b cubed, that's the same as a minus b. A squared minus AB, same, opposite. Oh, sorry, A squared plus AB, always positive. B squared. And then the signs change depending on if your original was plus or minus. Remember, you get your signs by SOAP.
So
same, opposite, always positive. Okay, good question. Okay, so does anything cancel here? The x minus 4. And what I like to do is I like to put the x minus 4, even though it's by itself, in parentheses, just so that we remember that they are all connected and go together. Is there something you would like to share? Then you need to put it away. Okay, x minus 4 all cancel. So if x minus 4 cancels, what's left in the numerator? 1. All over. What's left in the denominator? X squared plus 4x plus 16. And that's my answer. So we're really just using all of our different factoring methods to factor these things and then get some stuff to cancel out so that we can reduce. Okay? Okay, so example 4, we have in the numerator x cubed minus 5x squared plus, or minus 3x plus 15 all over x squared minus 8x plus 15. Okay, so let's look at this whole thing first. Look at the numerator. What method do you think I'll need to use for this one? It's not a difference of two squares. It's called grouping. So when we have 4 terms, we're going to use grouping. Okay, and this is one that we haven't really used a lot, but it is does always work. So I'm going to do it off to the side. X to the third minus 5x squared minus 3x plus 15. And to factor this by grouping, we group the first 2 terms and we group the last 2 terms and make sure that that negative sign is attached to the 3. Okay, so we need to factor out GCFs from here. X to the third minus 5x squared. What's the GCF there? X squared. So we're going to factor that out. And that leaves me with x minus 5. What about from this one, the second grouping? We want to pull out a negative 3, because if we pull out a negative 3, we're going to be left with x minus 5, and they're the same, which is what we wanted. Okay? So usually if there's ever a negative attached to the term, you're going to pull out the negative to change the middle sign. Okay, so now both of these things are being multiplied by the same term, x minus 5. So what am I going to do? I'm going to factor out that x minus 5. So when we took the test on this long time ago, I got a lot of people that they were doing everything right and they took out x minus 5 and then rewrote it as x minus 5 squared. We're not multiplying these two things together. Notice how x squared is being multiplied by x minus 5 and negative 3 is being multiplied by x minus 5. So we're actually factoring out an x minus 5. So we're not multiplying these two together. We're just pulling it out so it stays the same. Okay, and then what's left on the other side? X squared minus 3. Okay, so that's the numerator. X minus 5 times x squared minus 3. The denominator is a little bit easier. What method are you going to use for that? Diamond. So what two things multiply to 15 and add up to negative 8?
5 and 3.
Negative 5 and negative 3. Okay. Now I want to do some canceling. What cancels here? The x minus 5 and the x minus 5. What about this x and one of those x's? Do those cancel? No. It's either all of it or none of it. So my answer is actually going to be x squared minus 3 over x minus 3. And that's as far as I can reduce. So that's my answer. Okay? Okay, example 5.
How many